My sister's text lit up my phone at 2 a.m. I'm getting married again. In your venue. I laughed, thinking it was a drunken joke until I saw the next message. I'm wearing your dress too. 3 years ago, I poured my heart, soul, and $19,000 into planning the perfect wedding. The venue historic estate with sprawling gardens and a chandelier-lit ballroom was the crown jewel. Every detail, from the hand-stitched lace on my dress to the custom floral arches, was a labor of love. My husband, Ethan, and I had saved for years, scrimping on vacations and dining out to afford it. It wasn't just a day. It was a promise, a celebration of everything we'd built together. But now my sister Claire was claiming it as her own. Claire and I had always been opposites. I was the planner, the one who color-coded her calendar and saved for rainy days. Claire was the whirlwind, impulsive, charming, and perpetually broke. Her first wedding 5 years ago was a courthouse affair with a borrowed dress and a potluck reception. She'd married Tom, a sweet but aimless musician, and their marriage had crumbled within 2 years. She never talked about it, but I knew the regret gnawed at her. She'd always envied my wedding, the photos plastered across social media. The way people still talked about it. You got the fairy tale, she'd say, half joking, half bitter. But this was beyond envy. This was theft. The morning after her text, I called her, my hands shaking as I gripped the phone. Claire, what the hell? You can't just take my venue. I'm not taking it, she said, her voice sharp but unsteady. I booked it for next month. They had a cancellation. And I deserve a real wedding this time, okay? Not some rushed courthouse thing. I'm marrying Greg, and I want it to be perfect. Perfect. I nearly choked. You're using my venue, my dress, Claire. I paid for that. You can't just. I'm not asking for permission, she cut me off. I'm telling you. And don't worry, I'll pay you back eventually. I hung up, my heart pounding. Ethan found me pacing the kitchen, muttering curses. She's lost her mind, I said, showing him the texts. He frowned, his calm demeanor cracking. She can't afford that place. How's she even pulling this off? That was the question. Claire worked part-time at a boutique and lived in a cramped apartment. The venue's deposit alone was $5,000. I called the estate manager, hoping to hear it was a mistake. Instead, she confirmed Claire had booked it, paying the deposit with a credit card that barely cleared. My stomach dropped. Claire was drowning in debt, and now she was dragging my dream into her chaos. I confronted her in person that weekend. She opened the door to her apartment, her face lit with a nervous excitement that made me want to scream. Look, I know you're mad, she said before I could speak. But this is my chance to do it right. You had your moment, Emma. Let me have mine. My moment. I snapped. I worked for years to pay for that wedding. You think you can just waltz in and claim it because you feel cheated? Her eyes flashed with something, guilt maybe, or defiance. You don't get it. You've always had everything figured out. Perfect job, perfect husband, perfect life. I screwed up my first wedding, okay? I was young, stupid. This is my do-over. Do-overs don't work like that. I shouted. You don't get to steal my memories to rewrite yours. She flinched but didn't back down. I'm not stealing. I'm borrowing. The dress is just sitting in your closet. The venue's available. Why does it matter? I left before I said something I'd regret. But the truth was, it mattered because that wedding wasn't just a day. It was mine. The aisle I walked down, the vows I spoke, the way Ethan's eyes lit up when he saw mine was sacred. Claire was treating it like a Pinterest board she could copy and paste. Over the next few weeks, the situation spiraled. Claire posted cryptic updates on social media, hinting at her dream wedding without mentioning me. Mutual friends started texting, confused. Is Claire using your venue? One asked. Did you give her your dress? Another pressed. I didn't know how to answer without sounding petty or unhinged. Meanwhile, Claire was in full planning mode, emailing vendors I'd used, even requesting my floral arrangements. Ethan tried to mediate. Maybe we can talk her out of it, he said one night, rubbing my shoulders as I cried. She's your sister. She's not trying to hurt you. She's not trying, I muttered. She knows exactly what this means to me. I decided to visit the venue myself, hoping to reason with the manager. The estate was as breathtaking as I remembered: ivy-covered walls, a stone pathway leading to the ballroom, Standing there, I could almost hear the music from my wedding, feel the weight of my dress. The manager, a kind woman named Linda, listened as I poured out my frustration. "I'm so sorry, Emma," she said. "Claire told us you were okay with it. We had no idea." "She lied," I said, my voice breaking. "Can you cancel her booking?" Linda hesitated. "The deposit's non-refundable, and she's already signed the contract. Unless she backs out, there's not much I can do." I left feeling defeated. Part of me wanted to sabotage Claire's plans, call her vendors, cancel her catering, anything to stop her. But another part, the part that still loved her despite everything, couldn't do it. She was my sister. Flawed, reckless, infuriating, but family. The breaking point came when I found out she'd taken my dress from Mom's attic. I'd stored it there to keep it safe, planning to pass it down one day. Mom called me in a panic. "I didn't know she took it, Emma. She said you gave her permission." I drove to Claire's apartment, my anger a living thing. When she opened the door, there it was, a me dress hanging on her closet door like a trophy. The sight of it, the delicate lace I'd chosen with such care, felt like a knife in my chest. "Take it off," I said, my voice low. "Emma, take off." She sighed and slipped out of the dress, leaving it pooled on the floor. For a moment we just stared at each other, the air thick with unspoken words. Then she spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. "I just wanted to feel like you for one day. Like I had my life together." Her words hit harder than I expected. I saw the cracks in her bravado, the insecurity, the shame she buried under her defiance. Claire had always compared herself to me, measuring her failures against my successes. But this wasn't about me. It was about her need to prove something to herself and the world. I took a deep breath. "You don't need my wedding to feel like that. You're enough, Claire. You always have been." She started to cry, and for the first time in weeks I didn't feel angry. I felt sad for her, for us, for the rift this had caused. We talked for hours that night, unraveling years of resentment and misunderstanding. Claire admitted she couldn't afford the venue and had maxed out her credit cards. I told her how much her actions had hurt me, how they cheapened something I held dear. In the end, she canceled the booking. The venue refunded half the deposit, and I offered to cover the rest on one condition. She'd let me help her plan a wedding that was hers, not a copy of mine. It wasn't easy. We fought, we cried, we laughed. But we built something small, intimate ceremony that reflected Claire and Greg. No $19,000 aisle. No borrowed dress, just them, surrounded by people who loved them. On her wedding day, I stood by her side, watching her walk down a simple aisle in a dress she'd chosen herself. She looked radiant, not because she was trying to be me, but because she was finally herself. As she said her vows, I felt a weight lift. We weren't just sisters again. We were something stronger, forged through conflict and forgiveness. This story isn't just about a wedding or a dress. It's about what happens when envy and love collide. When family pushes you to the edge but pulls you back. So what do you think? Was Claire wrong to claim Emma's wedding? Or was she chasing a redemption we all seek in our own way? Share your thoughts. Where do you stand on the line between right and wrong?